This is Roger Struckoff with Syscon TV. We're at Cloud Expo East in New York in 2014. We're joined today by Rob Reiner and John Balena with ITinvolve. Now, we were talking a little bit before we went on camera. They were mentioning this sort of ideal of continuous delivery and deployment. The reality is it's kind of disrupted, and they're going to tell us why, and they're going to tell us what they're doing about it. We're going to start by talking to Rob. He's a CTO and has sort of the technical overview and how this solution is developed. Rob, welcome. Tell us the challenges and what you're doing to meet the challenges.
Thank you. So the key is that the reason why it's disruptive is because in environments you have all these silos, across the organization, and there is a lot of misalignment. So the part that has been missing all along is the ability to actually take the information from the tools, all these automations, and actually bring it in context into collaborations with the right people, rather than using email or text or all this where you distort, the context, and therefore you're making bad decisions. So the moment you bring in all the information, from the tools, the statuses, and you can aggregate them into a workspace where actually people can collaborate in context, now the decisions are going to be much better because A, you're not leaving people out of the equation. All the stakeholders that need to see the actual status can comment on the risks in context, and then you're going to get, better results at the end.
Now, how long have you been working at this problem? We're at Cloud Expo. We're talking about cloud computing. How long has ITinvolve been involved with what you're talking about, but also in the context of cloud? How does that change things?
Yeah, so we've been working on these problems around the disalignment and the silo nature of IT companies for the last 3 years. At the very beginning, the biggest area that we focus on is how do you get the people part into the equation, because most of the tools actually leave the people element out. When you automate, what you're doing is, which is very good, but what you're doing is you're creating blind spots. Is areas in the organization and in the environment where you're hiding information. So what we saw is that it's very critical to bring the right information associated to the objects, create a Facebook-like environment, but for objects, where the objects are really the personas. And then people follow the objects that are of interest to them for their role. Then when you have that information, anytime the tools, for example, make an update, a status, an alert, whatever it is that they provide, then the right people are getting that information and making, like I said before, making the right decisions. So this contextual collaboration is what it has been missing in the DevOps market and in IT all along. It's just that now we have delivered the first, what we call agility application that really brings that context, to be able to, bring the right people at the right time to make the right decisions.
Okay. Now, John, you are in a job where the rubber meets the road. You can tell the folks what your real title is. And we're talking about contextual collaboration, and we're talking about going out and making a business of what the folks in the technical side are doing. How do you go about doing that? What challenges you're facing? What sort of interactions do you have with your customers? What's your life like as you're going out with this stuff and making it real?
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks. Well, I'm a Senior VP of Worldwide Sales and Services at ITinvolve, and previous to this position, I led the DevOps line of business for one of the big 4 system management vendors. And so I was at that for about 3 years and really understanding what the need in the DevOps market is. And to sum it up in my mind, it's really an Uber collaboration and Uber change exercise or challenge. And not only that, but as Rob said, you have all of these cross-silo issues that collaboration's supposed to solve. So I don't believe there'll be a session anywhere this week in this summit that won't bring up that collaboration is the key to DevOps, but no one says how to solve it. It's all about, well, I guess you organize or you get people to work together or you get them to use all these different tools or whatever, but no one has ever sat down and said, how do we solve this Uber change and Uber collaboration issue with an application? And that's what Rob and his team developed, and that's what my team, the sales team, goes out and talks with customers about.
Now, you mentioned, and both of you were talking a little bit about the idea of this being a DevOps challenge. Are your customers sort of coming to you with this challenge? Are you trying to guide them? Because DevOps in itself is a big disruptive change in a lot of organizations. How is that working? How do you have those conversations about DevOps with your customers?
Well, I think a lot of people have debated, is it just a buzzword? Is it really a market? Is there really something out there? But there really is. Because of agile practices and development, they're introducing change very rapidly to operations. And operations knows that if change isn't well managed, it creates problems, outages, risks, bad press, whatever. And so, out of compliance situations. And so the key is, how can you manage rapid change with stability and quality? And you can't do it without a place for people to go and can collaborate around those change, understand its ripple effects, its impacts. In fact, what we say is, when people work within our system, whenever they make a change, they're environmentally aware and they're policy aware of everything they do, because it's all attached to that change object.
In the DevOps world, and you're you develop and deploying solutions within your own world, is a world of DevOps. How do you meet your own challenges to develop what you're developing for your customers?
Of course, we use ITinvolve to do that.
You practice what you preach.
Exactly.
You love the food and you eat it.
Exactly. So yeah, we actually use our products so that we can actually understand the shortcomings. Because it doesn't matter how much you take into account in that first design, until you use what you built. That's when you start actually seeing the gaps, and that's why we use it in-house for across development to support our customers and everything else, just to make sure that every time that we see limitations, we go, hey, we got to add that feature to the product.
We've been sitting here for a few minutes, and these guys could go on for hours about this stuff. I wish we could, but you're going to have to find them online and engage them. We've been sitting here with Rob Reiner and John Balena at ITinvolve. John, what's your website? I think I have an idea, but tell folks how to contact you.
Sure, our website's www.itinvolve.com.
Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for joining me for Syscon TV. This is Roger Struckhoff.